That wraps up Goldfields, and I'll certainly touch on plans for that project at the end. But just moving on to Mexico, to our Ixhuatán asset, and I realize not many people are fully aware of this project or the potential of it. And over the last 6 to 12 months, we've been turning our attention to looking at this in more detail. It's always formed an important pipeline asset for the company, and we feel it's time to start moving this along. It's located in Chiapas state, that's the southern part of Mexico, and it has existing infrastructure, including a highway that runs near the property boundary on the eastern side. There's a rail head nearby, air transportation. It's 100% owned, no royalties or encumbrances. And what I'm going to show you is that the geological setting parallels most of the giant porphyry deposits worldwide, and we see significant potential there. It has the existing resource at Campamento, 1.7 million ounces of gold across the categories. So this slide, it's an image from Google Earth, and I just point to a quote from a scientific paper on the right that shows that most of these giant porphyry copper moly copper gold systems in the circum-Pacific are related to these plate or oceanic plate seismic ridges, seamount chains, or plateaus that are subducted below the North American and Caribbean plates, North American, Caribbean, and South American plates. We look at Bingham Canyon. I'm sure most of you know that. That's operated by Kennecott. That's a Rio Tinto company, one of the world's greatest, or if not the world's greatest, copper ore body. And that's related to the subduction of the Mendocino fracture zone. You can see that line shown in Google Earth. That's an aseismic ridge that's being pushed below the North American plate and giving rise to the Bingham Canyon porphyry system. It's exactly what Cook is referring to. Here we see it further to the south, the Carnegie Ridge and the Cocos Ridge oceanic plateaus, again being subducted below the Caribbean and South American plates, giving rise to Sierra Colorado in Panama and Cascabel in Ecuador. And if one scans across the oceanic crust along the western seaboard of North America and looks for other seismic ridges or plateaus, the Tehuantepec Ridge really stands out, and it's the subduction of that ridge below the North American plate that's giving rise to a huge porphyry system sitting below our projects at Ixhuatán. To demonstrate that further, we look at the regional magnetics on the left here for the southern part of Mexico, and at Ixhuatán, a huge bullseye magnetic high indicative of this porphyry system sitting below the project. If we go across to the right here, we see a HeliMag survey which better resolves that large bullseye anomaly into two intrusive centers, of which the Ixhuatán tenement, which is shown in black, covers the southern portion of that large intrusive system. It's a big, large body, overall 15 by 10 kilometers, obviously with significant potential and certainly comparable to some of these other systems globally that have produced these world-class copper mines. Shown in white here, we've just interpreted the nearer surface magnetic anomalism, which indicates where that porphyry system sits closer to surface. So you can keep an eye on those white lines as we jump to the next slide. So apart from there being this big porphyry system at depth, what's favorable to this project is that's caused by this subduction of this aseismic ridge that's got more volume, greater volume in terms of oceanic crust, along with more fluids, which are going to give rise to a very favorable porphyry system. The project has these thin cover rocks which cover the porphyry system, and what's really favorable about those is they're reactive in nature. They're made of limestones and hydrite halite rocks, which have chemical compositions that are going to react and cause precipitation of metals in the area. And we've certainly seen that amongst a lot of the occurrences found to date. So the mineralization to date, which is shown here by these numerous labels at Ixhuatán, a lot of the prospects shown, as well as the Campamento deposit. Those are all indicative of the upper portion of a district scale mineralizing system. And we can just see some of the highlights here shown. Firstly, to the north at Santa Fe, there's been historical copper mining that shows there's a precedent for a copper system here. At Cerro Lamina, under the Kinross option, when our predecessor held the project, a hole was drilled there from surface 600 meters at 0.28% copper, 0.7 gram a ton gold, and 2.7 gram a ton silver. That's around a 0.8% copper equivalent. That's an all-grade hole. That body, it has been explored with other drill holes to an extent, but it's still open to the northwest, where that portion of that breccia pipe hasn't undergone exploration. The other prospects on the property have some tremendous highlights as shown here, but they're all indicative of the system that has lots of huge metal endowment and making a really target-rich environment. In the section on the bottom, you can just see that porphyry system schematically drawn in at depth, and showing between the black lines is the Ixhuatán tenement with that porphyry system daylighting in parts of the property, but otherwise sitting below these thin reactive cover rocks. The copper potential is really exciting from our point of view, given the broader geological setting. What's interesting is the project was operated by Linear Gold and Kinross Gold, both gold companies. How exploration was commenced there back in 2004. There was soil sampling done. There was really good soil and gold anomalies, or gold and soil anomalies, commonly over a gram a ton on surface. Those were followed up with drilling and numerous discoveries made, as shown on the previous slide. There's really been no focused copper potential at all on this property, despite these rocks being quite thin in nature and the porphyry system sitting not far below there. One takes that historical soil sampling grid and looks at the copper, as we've done here. You see numerous copper anomalies on the property, some really nice values in those anomalies, which haven't been tested. They haven't been looked at from a copper perspective, and certainly there's been no deep drilling to drill through these thinner cover sediments to test these porphyry targets. If one looks at companies like SolGold with Cascabel, you look at what NGX and Filo are doing, Argentina, Chile, long interceptions of copper, sometimes occurring, blind to surface, but making up significant mineralized bodies that are going to be the future of copper mining. And we feel this is a really attractive proposition to go after these copper targets. Outside of the porphyry potential, obviously there's skarn potential, as well as the Cerro Lamina breccia pipe itself. The plan would be to finish off the soil sampling coverage, get some more detailed coverage of copper that would potentially indicate these leakage anomalies onto surface, as well as combining that with a VTEM survey, including magnetics and radiometrics. That would enable us more detailed mapping of structure, modeling of the thickness of the cover sediments, and looking for signs of alteration where these copper targets could be drill tested. One looks at just the schematic on the bottom right here, we see the intrusive porphyry complex at depth, covered by these thin reactive cover rocks, limestones or andesites. Some faulting there, which probably brings in a Horst and Graben setting, bring that porphyry complex closest to surface in places, and the potential leakage of these copper anomalies onto surface. Drilling to date, just schematically indicated by these blue lines, showing that all the testing was testing these gold targets from surface sampling, shallower drilling into that lithocap zone, but not much deep testing to look at this porphyry system. So Ixhuatán offers numerous multiple opportunities, not forgetting about Campamento, that resource there. there's potential to expand that to the southwest. There's a MMI geochemical survey. That's a type of soil geochemistry survey which shows the anomaly continues to the southwest, and combined with some of the IP that's been done over Campamento shows there's potential continuation of that and would warrant testing. But otherwise, Campamento has a potential to go to a PEA stage with a bit of geotech and metallurgical work to demonstrate the economics of that deposit. It does start from surface, so it would be an open pittable target. Outside of that, there's these other gold zones in the lithocap that have been found previously, but warrant further drilling. Many of those are underexplored, and we're developing some concepts and ideas around expanding some of those zones with a view to building out the gold resource base for the project. And then, of course, the sleeping giant here is this porphyry system. We see it peeking through in these two red mapped outcrops of the porphyry system or subcrops. And it's really that sitting just beneath the skin of these cover sediments that's got us really excited about developing concepts and evaluating that opportunity. So I went down to the project in May there were two reasons. One was to meet with the communities. It was our first visit since I've joined the company in 2020 to the project, and really to get a feel for the landscape there, the communities, and the ability to commence work there again. I must say the welcome received from the communities across the board was very warm and welcoming. It's very clear that our predecessor company, Linear Gold, we still operate under that entity in Mexico, built some very good and strong relationships during their exploration days, 2004 to 2007. And there seems a genuine interest from the communities to have their company back. Obviously, there would be shared benefits from exploration, and to see economic stimulus from investment by a company. So really, that really went well, that visit from that point of view. The other part of the visit was to check our facilities and what state our core and all our equipment is in, and that's all stored in this warehouse. Shown on the top right, there's a full inventory of all the historical core in there. It's in really good shape, alongside a full suite of exploration equipment, from geophysical survey equipment to surveying equipment, you name it, to carry out the necessary work prior to a drilling stage. And just shown on the right, also had the opportunity to view some of the historical core and pulled out just showing here is the highlight hole at Campamento, 100 meters at 12 gram a ton. That was an exciting intersection back in the day when Linear drilled that hole. And Sierra Lamina, the hole I mentioned, with that 600 meters of 0.8% copper equivalent from surface, just showing that copper mineralization in these oxides.